Hi, I'm Amy and I'm at home, and today I am making banana upside down cake. This is something that I absolutely love. It's a little untraditional in that it's sort of a hybrid between pineapple upside down cake, which I don't really make at all, and apple tart tatin, which is a French upside down apple cake, which I absolutely love. So the first thing I did was make some caramel, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. It takes a while. It takes about 10 minutes. This is really dark. But it's just a combination of butter and sugar and a little salt that you just cook kind of low and slow. You want to keep an eye on it the whole time. If it cooks any longer than this darkness, you have to start over again because then you're burning it. And I came really close to burning it. This is about as dark as you want. But honestly, if you are brave and you can make caramel and take it like pretty dark, then you're gonna have a ton of flavor. And that's what I love about this. So my silicone spatula is not really working. Oh, there we go. So that's what the caramel looks like. And I have this in a buttered baking dish. This is 9 by 9 inches. I'm just gonna move this around. Because it's buttered, it's sort of like going all over the place. It's like an amoeba. So I'll just let it rest. And next, I'm gonna put my bananas on top. And here's a little trick to get the really pretty cross section of the bananas. First of all, for this recipe, you don't really want the overripe bananas that you would have with banana bread because they also don't look that pretty, and we're kind of going for that. So what I do is trim the tops off, and then I cut straight down the middle. So it's easier to keep the peel on for this. But what you get is a cross section of the really pretty interior of the banana, but it's gonna lay flat on top of the caramel. So I'm gonna try and make a pattern. And don't worry if the caramel doesn't get into all the edges. It's gonna turn out just fine as it bakes. So here's the other section. And you definitely want the bananas to be cut side down. You don't wanna do it the other way around. So that's that, and I'm gonna do another one. And depending on the size of the bananas, I think 2 or 3 works really well.
Why do you keep the skin on?
It's just an easier way, oops, I really did bad job on that one. It's an easier way to cut them without squishing them, basically. So I'm gonna arrange this one. I'm gonna go like that. And you know, you can be really creative with your fruit arrangement with this. You could also add berries. I don't know if any of you are familiar with this new fad where people are decorating their focaccia. I actually did it. I made a ramp bouquet. Well, this is sort of the equivalent. I think I'm gonna leave that. I'm not gonna use my third banana. This is the equivalent. You can kind of make pretty things. If I had some berries, maybe I would put raspberries in here, or just try and make something like branches with the bananas as the branches. So I'm gonna set that aside and I'm gonna make my cake. Over here at the mixer, I am starting with a stick of butter, and this is really soft. It is a warm and beautiful day here in New Jersey, and I'm loving it. All the windows are open. All the doors are open with the screens.
We're gonna tan this weekend.
Yeah, we're gonna tan, and maybe thunderstorms this afternoon, which will be really kind of nice. Just kind of like be comfy inside. A reason to be inside when we're all inside is a nice Friday afternoon thunderstorm. So I'm creaming my butter and my sugar, and what you're looking for is this to be really homogeneous and really nicely combined. It kind of goes from a sandy texture to a creamy texture. And when it gets creamy, that's when you want to start adding your other ingredients. I'm going to turn this off and scrape down the sides. That's something that is, I feel like a lot of home cooks don't really do that, but it's worth it because, you know, a lot of times the sides just have, you know, like a lot of unmixed part of what you're baking, and you don't want that to happen. So This looks pretty good to me. I mean, this is like nice and creamy and light and lemony. So I'm just gonna add some vanilla, about a teaspoon. And here's a little trick. I'm actually adding a half a teaspoon. And so I'm pouring a capful of vanilla in there. And now I don't have to measure anything. Next, I'm going to add my eggs, one at a time. Hopefully no shells got in there. Taking my chances. Just cooking for the family, so if someone gets an eggshell, oh
Thanks.
well. So this is looking really good. I'm going to stop my mixer and I'm going to add half of the flour. And this is a cup and a half. And I will publish this with the recipe, so don't worry about getting all the ingredients. Here's some baking powder, which I'm going to add, and a pinch of salt. This is like a half teaspoon to a teaspoon. I think I put a teaspoon in the recipe, but I might put it back to a half teaspoon. And then this is like a very typical baking technique when you're making cake, is alternating wet and dry ingredients. And when I say wet, I'm not talking about the butter and the eggs, I'm talking about milk. So I am alternating some whole milk with my flour, and that makes it light and fluffy and really delicious.
Very fluffy.
That is looking delicious. I love cake batter. I mean, I just think it's so pretty. I'm putting in the rest of my flour.
Would you ever have this as like a breakfast cake, or do you think it's more of a dessert cake?
I mean, there is a lot of caramel in this. I would have no problem having this for breakfast, but it is
Especially during these
yes,
times.
Exactly. It is by no means banana bread. So get that out of your head. It is definitely not like the old-fashioned. To me, banana bread's like very old-fashioned. There is nothing old-fashioned about this cake. This cake is modern. It has a very in-your-face element of caramel, which is what I love so much. So I'm just getting all that good batter off.
For everyone who's sick of making banana bread in quarantine.
Yeah, exactly.
Something else to do with your bananas.
And the thing about this is I love bananas. I love putting bananas in this. And the reason why is because as this cooks, the bananas flavor the caramel, which I think is really cool. But you could use a lot of different types of fruit. I was actually thinking rhubarb would be really good too. It's rhubarb season right now, so I've seen rhubarb everywhere. It's really super sour, but when it bakes, it gets so mild and just a really beautiful flavor.
Yeah,
So
rhubarb's so
I
tasty.
think rhubarb would be really good.
But your rhubarb pie is the best.
Oh, thank you. And I don't usually mix rhubarb and strawberries because I just like rhubarb by itself. And I like strawberries by themselves. But you could actually do bananas and strawberries for this. Bananas, rhubarb, and strawberries. I mean, get creative and fill up the bottom of this with as much fruit as you'd like. And that is using your home cook's intuition, which I do all the time. So here's my cake. I'm gonna pop it in the oven for 30 minutes. I preheated at 350. And what do you know? I made another one. I made this morning. And this is what I'm talking about when there is so much caramel all over the place.
Look at it on the side.
It's gorgeous.
Wow.
It's dripping down. But you can also see the pretty bananas. And it's even prettier when it's cooked. All right, so let me just delicately move this so I can cut it. But before I cut it, I thought it would be fun, since it's Friday, to have a glass of wine. I know it's the middle of the day, but it's Friday, so I am opening. Oh, shoot. I got it. I'm opening. Got it. I'm opening a bottle of white sparkling natural wine.
Is that a pet nat?
I'm not sure if it's a pet nat. I don't know if all sparkling white wines are pet nats, which is a petulant naturel. It's definitely an orange sparkling wine. It's really,
That
really
looks amazing.
pretty. So I thought I would pour a little glass for you and me, Katie, and we'll have a little taste of.
And I'll go back to work after.
But we're not telling anyone, right?
Except all my coworkers who watch.
No one at work knows anything about this. So we're gonna have a little sparkling pet nat orange wine, and I'm gonna cut a piece of this delicious cake. Oh, look how crunchy this topping is. This is the part that I love the most.
Yeah, it'd be a shame to not have a glass of wine with something like that.
Absolutely. So here is the cake. And do we have any bananas? There's a little bit of a banana here.
Get that one up there.
You can see the topping is just like, ooh, look at that. Really luscious.
How would you know when this is done baking?
Well, you can, what I usually do is put a tester in to see if it comes out clean. And when I say a tester, that could be like a sharp knife. You don't want to see any batter on the knife, or a toothpick. But I also like to look at the sides. When the sides start to pull in, that means it's cooked as well. And then the top is nice and dry. Remember, this is the bottom, so the top kind of looks dry and no longer raw, I guess is the best way to describe that. I'm gonna have a little taste.
I'll have a sip of my wine while you have a taste.
I'm gonna be two-fisted. I'm gonna have wine in one hand and cake in the other.
Wait.
Cheers, Katie. Thank you so much for joining. This was so much fun for me. I love doing this. And if you have any questions or any recipe suggestions, please DM me. I'm gonna eat my cake now. Cheers, have a great weekend.